It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful Monday in Nashville, Tennessee. Good weather, supposedly getting even better as we go through the week. I know we've got a lot to get into, so let's go to Murfreesboro and say hello to Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, how are you?
I'm great, George. How you doing?
I'm good. This is an exciting time. Any moron can do one of these shows right now. As I've said over the years, I just happen to be your moron.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Well, I'm not going to delve into that because I could say some pretty nice things about that. But there are a lot of things going on, man. NFL's free agency, all that has started. I mean, there's guys moving. The Titans got them somebody. Obviously, we'll talk about it a little bit. But you got hockey going on. Everything's happening. You got March Madness coming up, man. It's kind of crazy. It's fun.
It is fun. Billy, how about Kentucky?
Wow.
Saturday. Wow, what a statement.
Yeah, that was a statement. They've been playing well, but, I don't think anybody expected that type of effort. I mean, they shot the lights out, so anytime you shoot as well as they did, no matter where they're playing or who they're playing, they're usually going to win. When you shoot like 15 for 29 from the three-point line,
that'll win you a lot of games.
Yeah, and
it'll mask a lot of other problems you may have in a game.
The one thing they got to figure out, though, and I'm sure we'll get into this throughout the week, is they got to finish games. They almost blew that. I don't know if y'all saw the end, but Tennessee cut it to within 3, I think.
Yeah, but you knew they were going to make a run at some point.
Yeah, you knew. But credit to Kentucky, they had to win it for their seeding. They got the 2 seed, and now they likely will have a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament.
I wonder what it does. Yeah, I wonder how far it moves them up. I have not looked at Lenardi today. I know we got a lot going, so take it.
Yeah, we're going to start with the Titans, like Kelly said. They're going to give former Cowboys running back Tony Pollard a 3-year deal. Worth about $8 million a year. So 3 years, $24 million, and that's some pretty good money in this running back market. I think Saquon Barkley just actually got announced to Philly, and I'm hearing that's going to be around.
Really?
Yeah, I'm hearing that's going to be around $12 million. So
Philly.
Yeah. So, but back to Pollard.
Collusion's over.
Yeah. But Tony Pollard, what do y'all think? I mean, I'm sure we'll get Terry on sometime this week and dive into it, but I like the move. I wasn't celebrating and, to the high heavens after the move, but now this means Derrick Henry is definitely gone.
It's done.
And Tony Pollard's very similar back to Tajay Spears. I would guess Pollard's the guy now. I mean, you're paying him $8 million. He's got to, you would think. I mean, I could be wrong, but I mean, I like the move. And, there'd be some questions about who they're going to give it to on the goal line and stuff like that. But, I mean, the NFL is moving towards this type of back. And I think it's another sign that the Titans are moving away from what they were doing with Derrick Henry.
So, Kelly, give us your thoughts on it.
I totally agree with what Billy's saying. I mean, they're going a different direction. They're not going to be the ground attack like they used to be in heavy play. I'm sure they're going to have some play actions and stuff, but like he's kind of more of a scat guy. I don't know. It just, time will tell to see how all this works out. But it just seems like that obviously Derrick Henry's gone, which that kind of sucks. But it wouldn't surprise me if he gets an offer from the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that would not surprise me.
It feels like it's the movie Trading Places.
That's exactly right. It feels kind of like that. So it's just going to be interesting to see how all this works out. I think Brian Callahan is more of a ball control, wants a kind of a scat back type of guy, more of what he came from in Cincinnati. So I hope it works. I think, time will tell, and nobody ever really knows when you make these moves how that guy's going to fit with an organization. So time will tell.
Yeah, Saquon to Philly.
That's wild.
Can he go two ways and play defensive back?
Probably could, man. He's athletic like that.
Oh, yeah. Man, what does that do to that offense? Jeez.
Well, I saw where they got DeAndre Swift. Where did he go? He went to somebody. DeAndre Swift left Philly and went to somebody. Yeah. So now I don't know, man. It's crazy what all was going on. Kirk Cousins just got signed with the Falcons. I don't know if y'all saw that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, I know it's usually big on the first day, but there are so many. I mean, we need a tracker here. There's a lot of pretty big moves too. You mentioned DeAndre Swift; he's going to Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, and they actually
and then I hit one right on the head with Russell Wilson going to Pittsburgh, which I'm happy about that one.
We're going to get to that one later.
Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh.
So let me ask one question off this. So Cousins has gone to Atlanta.
Yes.
Which eliminates Justin Fields going to Atlanta.
So where's he going?
Well, it leaves Minnesota open, and it seems to me it's one of two. It's either Justin Fields or Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like now. I mean, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm going with Justin Fields if that's my options, man. I like Ryan, but I just think Justin Fields more of an upside. I think he would also be considered in Vegas too. Justin Fields, I think he would probably fit in there as well. So
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So and Vegas actually lost Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs headed to Green Bay, and
he will kill it in Green Bay.
He will.
That is one tough sucker.
He will. Yeah. The Raiders also, they still have Zamir White, who they really like, the kid out of Georgia. So, save some money there. One team that's in cap hell right now is the Broncos. They're still on the books.
I wonder why.
They are still on the books for Russell Wilson. They paid almost $80 million last year in free agency, and they were awful. I mean, they just didn't pan out, and so they couldn't pay Lloyd Cushenberry, their center, who was the center for Joe Burrow at LSU, and the Titans are expected to sign him, which I think could be even more impactful than Tony Pollard.
And, absolutely.
Well, it's the beginning of building an offensive line.
And getting Aaron Brewer out of there. I mean, he was maybe one of the worst centers in the history of football. the way he graded last year, I think he graded out to be the 27th, number 27 center in the league. Lloyd Cushenberry last year was in the top 5. So he's one of the better centers in the league. So the Titans are expected to sign him as well.
A lot of tampering going on.
That's not an easy job, Billy. Not an easy job.
No, it's not. But Cincinnati apparently was after Cushenberry, to try to reunite him with Joe Burrow. I think it was noteworthy that the Titans got him. And the Titans are paying up. I mean, that's a reason Tony Pollard, he was being looked at by Minnesota and some other places, and that he said he took the bigger payday. In Nashville. So
yeah, I mean, this is what having all that cap money allows you. Look, it's now on Rand Carthon to deliver the goods.
Yes,
he's got the money. It's his time.
Yeah. Let's see. Elsewhere, speaking of Cincinnati, they recently franchise tagged T. Higgins.
Yeah,
but he has come out. He has come out and requested a trade, so he's going to be on the move. And
that doesn't necessarily.
He could not necessarily. So you can request a trade, but that organization can say,
they could tell him to take the franchise tag and shove it.
So that'll be interesting to see. Also, there's so many moves. The Jaguars have signed Gabe Davis, so the receivers are starting to circulate here. What do they do? Calvin Ridley, that means he's likely gone from Jacksonville. If they just picked up Gabe Davis, I think Calvin Ridley could be an option for the Titans. So that's those are some of the big moves. Yeah, I don't know if y'all have any that I missed, but I think those were some of the bigger moves, and there'll be moves going on all throughout the day.
Tell you what, the Falcons got a whole bunch better a few minutes ago.
They did, and we were talking. We had talked about that. How the Falcons are right there. They just
what kind of money we talking about on Cousins?
Big deal. A lot of money. 4 years worth $180 million.
They have
how much is guaranteed, Billy? Does it say how much is guaranteed?
$100 million guaranteed.
Gosh.
Not bad.
Is Cousins worth that?
It depends.
Nobody's worth that, Billy, but that's just what the pay is these days.
Goodness gracious.
Wow.
So yeah, those are some of the big moves, and I'll continue to track them throughout the show if there's any more. Also, college basketball had a big weekend around the country. The top 3 teams didn't move, but North Carolina moved up 3 spots after beating Duke and winning the ACC outright.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Boy, they took command of that. And then I thought in a move that they shouldn't have done, they sort of thumbed their nose at the Duke
student
crowd.
section.
Yeah, they just need to go to the locker room.
Did you see? We had a comment here from Jeff. I actually like this, and I agree with Jeff here. Kyle Filipowski, the hypocrite at Duke, should be suspended 5 or 6 games. Maybe not 5 or 6 games, but he tripped.
Yeah.
Melvin Ingram or Harrison Ingram from Duke. He was on the ground, and he actually tripped him, and everybody was comparing him to Grayson Allen, the former Dookie.
Oh yeah.
I think this is kind of proven that was not much to do about anything. The court storm. I mean, yeah, he got hit, but let's not act like Kyle Filipowski is some golden child here. I mean,
no, but he's learned that. That's
the Duke way.
That's unfortunately part of the Duke culture.
Yeah. So
Correct.
The other movement, Tennessee moved down just 1 spot. They're back to number 5. They're still in front of Arizona, who is at 6.
Because Arizona got ripped around pretty good at USC. They really, you never felt like they were going to win that game.
No. Creighton had a big one against Villanova. Kentucky moves up 6 spots. So they're now at number 9 after beating Tennessee and Knoxville. And that brings us to the SEC tournament this week. Starts Wednesday night. Vanderbilt will play Arkansas. First game. Could be an early exit. We'll see. Arkansas is playing a lot better right now. They almost beat Alabama on Saturday. But
should have beaten Alabama.
Yeah, the odds are out from DraftKings. Tennessee at the top, plus 130 to win it all. Kentucky at
win the tournament.
Yeah, to win the tournament, SEC tournament. Kentucky is at plus 400. Florida plus 2,000. Mississippi State plus 6,500. So feels like we might get another Tennessee-Kentucky clash, which would be fun on Sunday in the championship.
They'd be in the finals if it got there.
Yep. Kentucky will play Friday night.
Didn't y'all's Doors have a big win?
They did. They
beat Florida.
They beat Florida. A credit to them. I mean, Florida didn't really. I don't think they played super well, but Vanderbilt they showed some more magic. They got their 4th win of the season, and so we'll see. I think it's changed.
So the question's going to come up, so I'll go ahead and address it. Does this win save him? Hell no, it shouldn't. 9-22 and 4-14 is not acceptable in your 5th year. Now, good for him and good for them that they beat Florida. But should that change the big picture? Personally, no.
No, it shouldn't, but who knows? I'm still on the boat where who knows what happens. I mean, I think a lot of people are rooting for a change, and a lot of people think there should be a change, but I don't think that means much of anything.
There's going to be a change.
Yeah. Perception is not always reality, especially at Vanderbilt. We did have SEC men's basketball postseason awards. Coach of the year, no surprise, Lamont Paris at South Carolina. Did a phenomenal job. Player of the year, this just in, Dalton Connect from Tennessee.
I'm shocked.
40 points. First 40-point game for him all season, and they lose.
Yeah. Crazy.
So we'll get into that with Tony tomorrow about, they got to play around him a little bit better because Vescovi didn't have any points. I think Jordan James only had 8. So they've got some things to clean up. They're still a really good team. Freshman of the year, Reed Shepherd from Kentucky, who lit it up. He would 7 for 10 on Saturday against Tennessee, which was unbelievable. Rob Dillingham from Kentucky, 6th man of the year. Zakai Ziegler, defensive player of the year. And that's what we got on the SEC side.
Wait a minute. You may have said, who was newcomer of the year?
Freshman of the year, Reed Shepherd, Kentucky.
over Dillingham.
Yeah, Dillingham, 6th man of the year. I think that was probably a close call, but
yeah,
I do think Shepard's been a little bit more consistent. I mean, the way he played in Knoxville, I couldn't believe some of the plays he was making. I mean, he is a tough guard. And then elsewhere, that's pretty much it.
Okay, after the break, we will be joined by Predators general manager Barry Trotz. They've been on a roll of a possible 24 points in the last 12 games. They have recorded 22. Wow. Off to a good start on the road trip, win at Columbus, lose in overtime to Minnesota yesterday. So getting a lot of points. We'll go to the break, and then Barry Trotz will join us next.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank & Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Okay, we are back. We're awaiting a phone call from Preds general manager Barry Trotz. Billy, if you will, put the standings up. We'll kind of show people where this thing is right now. So the Preds are sitting in the 7 hole. And as I've mentioned before, there's a big difference, or at least there is in my mind, between 7 and 8. If you end up 8th, you're going to get Vancouver, and nobody wants to deal with Vancouver. Nobody's dying to. So this thing becomes a little bit of a battle between Nashville in the 7 hole, Vegas in the 8, and the LA Kings, who right now are in the 3rd position in the Pacific Division. Gets a little complicated, but bottom line is those are the 3 that ultimately, at the moment, feel like the ones that are going to battle it out for numbers 7 and 8. And Kelly, I would never have dreamed 3 weeks ago that you'd see those kind of numbers.
George, that was amazing when you just said it in the last segment. Out of the 24 points possible, they've got 22. That's really amazing. After where they came from, and I don't know, man. These guys have gotten hot, and it seems like Barry has gotten those guys, some more guys in here for some moves that he made, and I think, man, I obviously it's going to help the team. He thinks, and it's just. Man, this trade stuff at the in the year like this, like how do guys, and I might ask him this, like how do guys, because they're not going to come in, they hadn't been part of the situation for a while or ever, and how do they come in and they make an impact, and how do they come in and they fit in the team, and that's going to be the intriguing part of how this goes.
Okay, I'm told that Barry Trotz is with us by phone. Barry, thanks for taking the time.
Anytime, George, anytime. It's always good talking to you.
So I guess this is your first go-round as a GM at the trade deadline. Anything surprise you?
I don't know if anything surprised me, but it was an exhausting process. For me, my first go-round, obviously, I got probably put into a situation that I would have to be on both sides of the fence. I think it's easier when you're on one side of the fence or the other. And good on the players, good on the team. You asked me about 4 weeks ago. I was probably watching us play and knowing what the competition was like, that we were probably a full-blown seller, and it could really be a lot different picture. But the players responded and have gone on an incredible run and are playing good hockey. More than anything, they're playing good hockey. The sort of the vision that myself, the management team, Bruno, had a way we want to play. We want to play, fast. We want to be a team that's tenacious and relentless, and keep improving our skill level and our speed and all those situations with our young kids, and really play the players that have earned it. The positions. So all that being said, I had to be a little bit creative. I had to be. I think some assets that we probably weren't going forward with. We could maybe pick up an asset or two, which we picked up a higher draft choice and a young defensive prospect, which we're trying to retool the defense, and also picked up a couple of NHL players to help us in the area of scoring and speed, and also some veteran people who have been in the wars before.
Barry, where in the winning streak did you say to yourself, wait a minute, I got to rethink this? There's something pretty cool going on.
Well, I think it wasn't necessarily the number in the streak. I think to me, the response that they had going out west to Vegas and all those, that was really difficult to do. It's always tough to go out that. It's the time zones. It's all the different things that go on with travel in the National Hockey League. And we were able to grind wins out, play very, very well. had a couple of back-to-backs in there. And then to me, I knew, I would say that the game when we came back, that first game coming back, I think it was at Ottawa. Those are hard games. You're used to, 3-hour time change. You get home after a long road trip. If you're married and have kids, your wife, and your kids want to see dad, and all your ability to catch up with rest and that it's very difficult, and even focus. It's probably more so than anything. It's your focus, and we responded with a really solid game, and we followed that up with another game. But the Colorado game was the game that I would say, you know what, this team deserves to have some pieces added.
Yeah. I know that ultimately what you want is a team that can line up and go toe-to-toe every year to try to win it all. What pieces do you think you're short to be able to say that?
Well, I think, obviously we don't have, I'll say that, and this is no slight on any of our players. We don't have a Nathan McKinnon, for instance, who we saw here with Colorado. We don't have that center iceman that is totally dominant, but we do have good center icemen. We do have a winger that I think is dominant. I think we have a defenseman that's dominant. We have a goalie that's dominant. And we are a couple pieces. Our depth, I think, is coming with our young guys. We've got some really good people in place for two reasons: A, their talent, but B, our ability to use the salary cap because of the things that I did that summer. For most people, they think that the salary cap, what we did last summer is you got these buyouts and it goes to a certain number. Well, the number is low this year. One of the buyouts in terms of that we did last year on the Duchesne buyout goes up, $5 or $6 million. So anything that we get in terms of a cap increase for next year is already gone. It's already so we really don't have any increase for the next really 3 years. You still have the Duchesne, you still have the Johansson, you got a small bit on Ekholm on retention, and then you also have Kyle Turris for a few more years, and that was done before I got here. So we're probably looking at $12 or $13 million of money that we can't spend next year. So we need those young players to develop and grow and fill in those spaces until we can get out of a little bit of the salary restraints that we do have in terms of our cap.
Barry, Kelly Holcomb, former NFL quarterback, is about to ask you some questions. Kelly, you treat him well because he's one of my all-time favorite people.
He will.
Coach, how you doing, Coach?
I'm doing fine. I can take care of myself, Kelly. Don't worry.
Well, I'm not. You can't listen to George sometimes. You've been around him long enough, so don't worry about that. But hey, you talked about, you were talking about selling, and that's something that I've gotten accustomed to with baseball and with hockey. But like, what changed that? I mean, is it the guys just figuring out what coach wants, or I don't know if you can explain it, but sometimes it just clicks like that, and it seems like, it was going the wrong way, and then all of a sudden something happens, and what changed?
Well, I think pretty simple. I think anytime that you have a change with the coach and the system, and we're playing a lot different than we have in the past. I mean, if you're just a casual observer, you can see it. If you can't, then I can't really explain it. But we're playing with a lot more pace. We're on the puck. We're a little more relentless. We're getting back to that hunger that I want to say some of my early teams had, because we didn't have as much talent. We had what we made up in lack of talent was hunger and determination and our team concept. And I think what's clicked in is Bruno's system, our mentality of we can get a lot accomplished when we work together, and we have. And there's no egos. We have a tremendous locker room. We got great leadership. And obviously, coming back out of the All-Star break, it's obviously well documented now, is that we came out of the All-Star break and we had 3 home games before we had a long road trip. The first game, I believe it was against the Arizona Coyotes, and we really didn't play very well. And that usually sometimes happens when you come out of those long breaks. And I didn't like the way we played, but we really dug in. And I think it was a big hit on Luke Shen made on Liam O'Brien, and it really got the building rocking. We came back and scored a quick goal, and then we just sort of overwhelmed them for about 10 or 12 minutes, but we really didn't have a good game. We had a good 10 or 12 minutes of outstanding play, and we won a hockey game. And then we played New Jersey, and we did not play well. And then we played Dallas, and it was actually an embarrassing performance by our group. And I was more upset about there's a process that you have to go through to win. The process of preparing, your process of having the preparation that allows you to have a chance to win, and then thirdly, you've got to be committed to with the work ethic and the commitment that you need in a game to give yourself a chance to win. I didn't see that happening in those 3 games, and we were heading out to Vegas, and I decided, or we were going to St. Louis, and then after the St. Louis game, we were going to Vegas, and there was a team function where we were a little bit of a team builder, where we're going to go to a concert out there at the Sphere. And I didn't, there's a commitment by the organization that us going early in terms of day and costs and all that. To me, I pulled out. I said, we're coming right back after St. Louis. I am not accepting the standard that is shown, and because I'm a big culture guy, and culture is what you let it be. And if we have three horrible games, and then we think we're going to be rewarded after 3 horrible games, that's not in my DNA, and it's not going to be in the Nashville Predators' DNA. So we came back, we practiced hard, we went out there, and then for the most part, we have got points in every game since that point. And sometimes what you need to do is getting people to understand that there's a certain standard, and that standard, it can't be wavered. And I give a lot of credit to the leadership, and I'm going to go with the veteran guys on this. To me, it's obviously Roman Yossi, but I really think the influence of Ryan McDonough and Ryan O'Reilly and Philip Forsberg and a guy like Juicy Saros, those guys said, you know what, he is absolutely right. He's absolutely right. We are better than this, and let's show them. And I'm sure my name came up a few times on that trip, but that's okay. I'm all about culture, and they understand it, and they understand the culture, so they know what is accepted. I know one thing. If you accept this mediocrity and a lower standard, that's what you get. And it's just going to go down. And I don't believe in that. I believe that a certain standard is held. The players are made accountable. The staff is made accountable. The organization is made accountable. And it sends a big statement that to our young guys coming up, that there's a certain standard. If you're going to play for the Nashville Predators, you're going to come to play. And I wasn't worried about the scores. I was worried about how we played. And if you go through all the proper processes and you don't win a hockey game, I can accept that. But if you don't, then I'm not going to accept that. So that was my message.
Well, obviously for you it worked. So that's kudos, man. You have to have some of those tough meetings sometimes and some of those tough things to keep going forward. But Coach, you added a bunch of guys through this trade deadline. How long does it normally take for a guy to get into the system? Like I've had guys come in when I played, and some guys got it, some guys didn't, and some guys just didn't fit in. And then you hope all these guys fit in. But how long does it normally take for a guy to fit in and understand his role?
Well, I think there's not an exact answer to that. I think everybody, as you talk about, what's everybody's timeline in terms of growth of playing in the National Football League or getting it. It's the same thing in hockey. Is you get a new player from another team, it's just not plug and place. And one of the things that we play a little different than a lot of the teams in the National Hockey League. And it's going to take our the new guys some time. Someone asked me, with Bruno's system, how long is it going to take? I mean, if you want to, basically look at it, we started the season 5-10, and now I think we're 12 games over 500. So since that time, we've 17 games over 500 since that moment that we were 5-10. So, but it sort of really kicked in, in the last 12, 15 games. You saw a time we went, I think it was 5-10, and we went like 14-3 through a stretch. And then we went, 500 for another, stretch. And then, we bottomed out a little bit with, 4 or 5 game losing type streak. And then we get hot. So I think it's something that just continues to grow, and each player that comes in, he keeps adding to it as they get it. So the strength is in the numbers, but to me, it starts with we've got tremendous leadership. I cannot tell you the impact of the veteran guys that we already have that are good leaders, and Colton Sissons and the Yosis and the Saroses and all those guys. But the ads, the Ryan McDonough that was here, I think he's an exceptional leader. He doesn't get enough credit for that. A guy like Luke Shen, a guy like Ryan O'Reilly, and then quietly a guy like Gus Nyquist. Those guys are really, really complement the already good group that we already had.
Well, so this is my last question. I know as a GM, you looked at the roster when you came in and you knew kind of everybody, but has there been a player that surprised you, and is there a player that has kind of not lived up to what you thought he could be?
Well, I think everybody's had their moments with our team. I really think that I'll just go on our back end. The one guy that has really, really, I think grown in this year especially is Jeremy Lauzon. I just think his game has gone to a totally different level, and he's getting a identity that he's firm on their top guys. He leads the league in hits. He's contributing offensively, so that part is growing on a continual basis. To me, this year, Philip Forsberg is the Philip Forsberg that I envision him always being, even as a young player. But he has been exceptional. I think he's been really one of the underrated leaders for us. And then this, to me, a guy like Luke Evangelista has taken another step in terms of his pace and his production. But I'm going to say the guys that are sort of unsung heroes have really been a really good glue for us is the Cole Smiths and the McCarrons and the Sherwoods. Those guys have really, really been the glue. They've added those timely goals. They've given us a little bit of an identity that, hey, you're going to come into Bridgestone. Remember, this is Smashville. And I think over the last couple of years, we got away from that identity that this is Smashville. So they've sort of put that identity back into the program.
Barry, I want to ask you one last thing before you run. With all these different proposals that you have either initiated or listened to in the last 7 to 10 days, any deal that you just were like, I'm not quite sure what I think? Is there anybody you use as a sounding board when you've got one that you're just not totally sure of?
Yeah. Well, this process, trust me, everybody thinks that it was just a week. I worked the phones for the last month, and it is an endless sort of thankless task because you're phoning and trying to figure out what everybody else is trying to do, and no one's ever biting. Everybody's just fishing. Everybody's kicking tires. But what you do by doing that is you're collecting data. You're collecting intel, and then you're trying to look at what they're trying to do, based on your conversations. Also, what their needs are, but also what they're allowed to do. Some teams, were in a situation where, they were they have to get rid of cash within their organization or whatever. Some teams were trying to, my process started a little differently. I looked at the trade deadline as, you want my guys. I was actually not really looking when in the selling mode. I was looking at trying to package deals together to maybe acquire another already prospect, someone who was already playing in the minors or was about to pop on their team for some good pieces. And I actually had some deals where I had some pieces as, a rental, a prospect, and a draft choice going to the team for maybe one of their prospects. So I was thinking my train of thought was way different than just going out and trying to rent some players. So I had to do a little pivot, and so we tried to come up with some compromises where, we were going to move some players out and get some assets. We're going to help this team and not take anything away from it. And then a couple of our UFAs, maybe we keep one as our rental,
Right.
So we keep this team competitive. And if we can accomplish not hurting our team, adding maybe an asset or two, and getting into the playoffs, and there's nothing that develops your players better and cements culture than the playoff hockey or playing meaningful games. It is very hard, and there's certain franchises that have burnt it right down to the ground, and they've gone over a decade trying to get back in the playoff because they've lost that ability to find ways to win. And it's amazing once you lose that, it's so hard to get back. People just think that the talent part of it will always get you back there, and it is a piece of it, but it's the mentality that really gets you back there.
Great interview. I really appreciate your taking the time, your honesty in trying to tell us what is going on in all this. Barry, thank you. Look forward to seeing you in mid-April at Bridgestone, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in the mix. That's all I said when I came here. I said we're gonna be either, as I said, and I think my first time on your show, I said we're either gonna be really having a rough year and we're gonna be hard to stomach, or we're gonna be sneaky good. And I'm glad we've been sort of sneaky good, so that we're playing meaningful games down the stretch and hopefully get to the playoffs.
Or as I say it up in section 304, we're in a pennant race. Hey, thanks.
All right, take care, guys.
That's Predators General Manager Barry Trotz joining us on the show. We'll take a break, react to what he had to say when we come back.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Trax machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Under the category of why do I like Barry Trotz so much, it was the answer he gave, Kelly, about the whole Vegas situation. He didn't pull any punches.
No, he did not. And sometimes as a leader, you got to step up and do that kind of stuff. And it was really cool about what he said about the leadership of the team, like saying, hey, he's absolutely right. If we're going to play this game, we need to not play like we've been playing. We need to start focusing, and we're professionals. We need to start playing better. And I think that really kind of woke those guys up. And we already knew that. It was interesting hearing him say that about that's what happened, because I've been in meetings where if there's a cancer on your team, you have to talk about it. And if there's something going on, you have to get it out in the open. And obviously that's what he did. And that makes people successful when you do stuff like that. You face it head on instead of running from it. And he did.
Billy, I kind of think that they're at this level, and who knows what that means, because we haven't gotten to the playoffs or any of that kind of stuff. Clearly, in the last 3 weeks, they've taken a huge jump. Now, I don't think anybody's ready to declare that, they're a Stanley Cup contender. But I believe in the background, and I think he's probably been honest with UC about this, that he's going to trade UC at some point when they decide the Russian kid is fully ready, and that this is the best asset they have to get a haul back to send them to a next level.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue UC would have already been traded if they go on a losing streak instead of a winning streak. Would you say? Yeah. Would you agree with that? Or, I mean,
yeah. Although we didn't talk about it on here, but I've heard him say that he didn't.
Yeah, come on, Kelly.
The proposals were not.
I was literally going to ask that question. And I was like, man, that might be too risque right there to ask that question. I don't know. He's still got that kid on his team. So I was literally going to ask that question.
I don't know that it was as necessary to ask that now, because it's kind of out there for you. They went on an 8-game winning streak, and they've won, 10 of their last 12? Is that what it is?
They've gotten points in 12 games in a row, and of a possible 24 points in the last 12 games, they've gotten 22.
Yeah, and
which is obscene.
Yeah, he would have pointed at that. And I think most people saw that and said, okay, well now, I mean, trading UC would be weird, and I don't think that would.
I don't think right now it wouldn't go well.
And him
in their locker room.
He said that. He said, "We're in the mix. We're in the hunt. So we want to stay there. There's no reason to."
Do y'all know anything about these guys that they got? I mean, how would they fit in? It seems like he's gotten culture guys like he talked about, which I loved what he said right there. It's everybody has skill, and you can get guys with skill, but you have to have a certain mentality. I can remember when your boy, the Schneider guy up and with the Redskins, thought that he was going to buy him a Super Bowl, and he went out and got all these big free agents. He got the Bruce Smiths, and he got Deion Sanders, and he got a bunch of those name guys, and they didn't win anything. And he found out, hey, just because they're celebrity type status, they didn't have what we needed in a culture. And I just love what he said about that. So what do you guys think about these guys that they added?
Well, first of all, I don't really know a lot. Bolivier played for him with the Islanders, and I think that was part of it, is that he knew him really well. Look, the one thing you can rest assured of, he is going to get rid of the dogs. He got rid of Duchesne, who was absolutely cancer number one in that locker room. And, you know, it was interesting because he and I ran into each other, and I made a joke because I'd run into him and I said, don't make any trades this weekend. I'm going to see the Braves. This was last summer. And sure enough, he made a move while I was gone. I said, I thought we had an arrangement. He kind of laughed. He goes, what else would you like me to do? And I looked at him. I said, get rid of 95. And 3 days later, I didn't have anything to do with it. 3 days later, Duchesne was gone. And he knew, look, I don't know if he knew it on his own. I don't know if some of the old core told him. But, you know, they had to bite the bullet, as he brought up, on salary cap. This was not an easy move, but and it's a move they had to make.
Yeah. And, you know, Duchesne and Johansson, getting those guys out, like if he would have only done one or the other, I think there would still be some miscontent about, you know, the Preds fans were done with both those guys. And the fact that he did find a way to rid them of the team, I thought was a kind of a awakening for Preds fans, saying Trotz is here and he's committed to doing what it takes to win. And, you know, even making some of these smaller ones, Kelly, I don't know that they're going to – I don't know if they make the playoffs and maybe win a series. I don't know if we're going to point back and say, hey, those moves midseason are why they happened. Like Bolivier's a solid player, but I did see he made a mistake, made a turnover.
Oh, he made a bad mistake yesterday.
And it's early, you know, but there's familiarity there. I don't think those are home run guys. I'm forgetting the name of the other guy they signed. They picked up from Arizona.
Is it Zucker?
Yeah,
Zucker. Yeah, Zucker.
So, yeah, but I mean, the fact that he did make moves at all, I think says, again, he's just trying to help support and trying to push this team, you know, into the playoffs somehow.
Go back to the standings. Put that up there for a second. Whatever the thing is that rates your percentages, list the Predators right now at about 81% of making the playoff because of this run. Now,
pretty darn good.
You know, I pay it every day. I've been zeroed in on St. Louis. I'm starting to think it's Seattle that everybody better kind of beware of, the who's going to sneak up. For me, may well be Seattle. Kelly, the other thing that's going to happen is this group of six that you see right there, and LA Kings too, they're all going to start playing each other.
Yeah.
Right.
That's going to really mess up the standings.
Yeah, so it's all going to be head-to-head stuff, and you got to keep winning, because if you don't, the other team's going to make up ground on you. So that's where it's going to be big, George. I just that's amazing, man. 22 points in their last 3 weeks out of the possible 24. This team has really picked it up, and man, they're like y'all said, normally when you're a lower seed team like that, man, you just barely made it. But, at least you get a shot. You got a chance. And if you can go on a hot streak, I always use the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, when they played in Detroit and beat the Seattle Seahawks up there. They were 9-7 in the regular season, and they got hot at the right time. And Ben Roethlisberger brought his first Super Bowl home. And if you would have asked people at the beginning of the year or in the middle of the year or even towards the end, does Pittsburgh have a shot? And they're like, no, they were 9-7. And then they got on a streak and they won the Super Bowl. So you never know with these situations.
Well, and in the NHL, the Preds have that.
Yeah, of the 6 teams.
8 seed that made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final.
Of the 6 teams right here, none of them are locks, but the Preds are as close as a lock as any of them right here. I mean, you could argue the Preds are a lock to make the playoffs, and it might just be the 8 seed, but I think the 8 is that's obviously the worst you can do, and I think they're almost close to locked in, right? I mean,
it's either going to be 7 or 8.
Yeah.
The chances of moving past that are really pretty remote. It's either 7 or 8.
I got another question for both of y'all, since y'all are savants in this stuff. So Vegas won the title last year, right?
Yes, and look at where they are.
That's what I'm saying. Did they lose a bunch of guys to free agency, or are they just not playing well?
Hockey's
is
a
different. Weird sport.
I mean, you just never know, because you could lose one guy, and that one guy could be really important to your team and make all the difference in the world. Now they'll still probably get in, but you never know. I mean,
nobody will be dying to play them. If Vancouver ends up playing Vegas, a 1 versus an 8, the 1 will not be excited to see Vegas.
No.
Anyway, I know we got to run. After the break, stat of the day, and then we'll be joined by Morehead State head basketball coach Preston Spradlin. As a lot of you know, his team punched the first ticket to get into the big dance Saturday night. We will talk to him next.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Top of the hour on a Monday, we're talking with Morehead State men's basketball coach Preston Spradlin coming up. But first, stat of the day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's see where we're going today. We're going college hoops. Dalton Connect was officially awarded SEC Player of the Year today. Who was the last Tennessee player to win the award?
Oh, gosh. There have been a bunch of good ones. You could go all the way back, 40 years ago to Dale Ellis. A almost 40 years ago. You could go Allen Houston.
Yep.
You could go Tony White.
How long ago back, Billy? How long ago back was it?
Not long.
Was it Grant Williams? Is it Grant Williams? Was he the player of the year?
Let's run with Grant Williams.
It is Grant Williams.
Well done. Well done, Kelly Holcomb.
Yeah.
Won it
That's right.
back. Won it twice.
Nice.
Yeah, they've had a lot. Lofton, Ron
Well,
Slay,
they've had a bunch of them. Lofton
White.
should have been an answer.
Yeah.
On that. Anyway, we welcome all of you into the 3 o'clock hour. From our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue, we head up to Morehead, Kentucky. That guy, even though I know he's under the weather a little bit, should be the happiest man in sports today. He's the head basketball coach at Morehead State, Preston Spradlin, joining us on the line. Preston, congratulations and thank you for taking the time.
Well, thank you very much, and appreciate you guys taking time to have me on here. So not feeling too bad. I think I hit the lottery. I got a little flu A and B coming off the trip to the OVC tournament, but better timing now this week than obviously next week as we head to the big dance.
Yeah. You all, there are not many advantages to being a mid-major, but this for me would be one. The ability to soak it in for 2 or 3 days before you have to get back in and get down to the grind. So are those 2 or 3 days really fun to have everybody pat you on the back and say, hey, we watched, great job?
Yeah, without question. We're always going to find a glass half full approach here within our program and positivity. But you work all year round, and it's a long season and a lot of preparation to get to that point to where you're winning your conference championship. And man, to be able to catch your breath, be able to enjoy it, have more time for interviews and things like this we think is a great blessing. Give our guys a couple days off and it is really important as well. And so, there's a lot of great conference championships that are going to take place each and every day this week. And nobody gets to enjoy it longer than what we do before we start diving into preparation for another team in the big dance. So we're thankful for that opportunity, and we think it's a great advantage that we have here in the OVC.
Yeah, good for you. The fact that you've been there before, what maybe did you learn out of that first visit that might help you a little this time?
I think that once you get to postseason, being confident, having fun, finding a common theme as to how you want to extend your season is really important. And you look back 4 years ago, man, it was such a great ride to go to the NCAA tournament, but at the same time, it wasn't the same fulfillment that we've got right now because of COVID. We didn't get a chance to enjoy the championship with your families, players' families, coaches' families, or any of those things like what we did. And there was a lot of stress, to be quite honest with you, with the COVID testing and not knowing if you were going to be able to make it to the next day to even practice. And so that long window was quite a burden. And so now there's a lot of joy to it, right? That we're good and you got to spend time with your family. My 2 kids got to go up the ladder and cut the net with us, and we got to spend time with all of our fans and everything. So that part is just remarkable that we didn't get a few years ago. But I think the lessons that we've learned, from the NCAA tournament 4 years ago, the NIT last year, and this tournament run is, just keep having fun, right? I think when you get to postseason, everybody talks about it's win or go home, it's do or die. They talk about all these negative things, but if your focus is on that, then you're going to play tight, you're going to play loose, and you're not going to, really play to your potential. And so for us, we talk about, hey, what do we have to do to just be together as a team one more day? That's it. One more team meal together, one more film session, one more bus ride. That's all we're looking for. And if that means we come in and we work a little harder or practice a little harder or whatever that may be, then we're going to be willing to do that because we know the prize is pretty special.
Yeah, I love that attitude of the positive instead of the do or die kind of thing. So I got to ask this. So I'm watching both Friday night and Saturday night. And Arkansas, Little Rock, man, they've got a different style, and they're about 180 miles a minute. And that's not the way you guys play. So did you spend some time before you got to Evansville specifically on Little Rock?
No, not at all. That's a great question. People always want to know as a coach when you're preparing, you've got games in a tight window, and obviously postseason. How much are you looking ahead? And the answer is zero. Our staff is broken up to where they're doing, the scouting. They each have their own different teams throughout the year, and they carry those over to the conference tournament. And so I trust those guys and let them focus and do that. And so we didn't do anything that was specific to Little Rock going into it at all, because we needed to take care of business and win our first round game, and we didn't even know who that was going to be. And so, the approach that we take anytime there's a break in the season, like there was going into the conference tournament, not knowing who we're going to play, and like we have right now, is we're a dangerous team when we get a chance to work on ourselves. We get some time to not focus on building specific habits that are tailored towards an opponent. We get to just work on things and get better with what we want to do, change things, add things, whatever that may be. And so we draw confidence from the ability to do that. Going into the conference tournament, we knew that, there are a couple really good players that we might have a chance to play that are good enough to beat you on their own. And so we needed to figure out a couple new things that we might do to maybe disrupt those guys or get the ball out of their hands. And certainly we ran into each and every one of those guys. There was DeMarco Minor, all-conference player at SIUE, who's phenomenal. There was Jordan Sears at Tennessee Martin, and then KK Robinson at Little Rock. And so those guys are dynamic guards that when the ball is in their hands and the playbook gets scrapped, they can go and make some exceptional plays. So we did have some contingency plans that had those guys got going, we would employ, and we did. And so we worked on those a little bit without letting our players know, hey, we're gearing up for this opponent. We're gearing up for this situation should it occur, so that we can be confident and we can execute it.
Okay, this is Billy Derrick, who works on the show with me. Billy, tell Coach how you saw one of his best players, maybe before he did.
Crazy. So I went to Ave Maria NAIA school down in Southwest Florida. I called games against Southeastern. Riley Minix every time felt like he had either 30 or 40 points every time he played him. And I said, this kid, he's going Power 5. He's going, or at least a step up and, kind of go up the ladder. And I wasn't surprised at all when he landed at Morehead State. And watching him this year, I predicted him. I think I told you, George, he might be player of the year in the conference. Tell me about the process of seeing him, recruiting him, talking to him, and getting him to campus.
Well, you said the same thing I did when I saw him. Man, that's a Morehead State basketball player right there. That guy'd be pretty good. So you've got a good eye. You got a good eye for talent. But man, what a player! He is so phenomenal. And he's if you get an opportunity to speak with him, you'll be more impressed with him as a person than you are as a player. That's quite a statement, because he's quite a player. I think it's the connection, right? So you look at our team last year. We had Alex Gross. Big man for us, who was first team all conference and defensive player of the year. And he came from the NAIA ranks, just like Riley did. And so they actually knew one another because they played against each other in the NAIA national tournament. And, Alex kind of threw the name to us, and he said, hey, I know you guys are going to be losing a lot this year. And Riley, if you guys like me, you're going to love him, because there's a lot of similarities, and he can really be a great player here. And so he kind of threw the idea out there to Riley at some point last year. And then when Riley's season ended, and so did ours, we reached out to him. And at that point in time, I think he was pretty committed that he was going to go ahead and start his pro career and go overseas. And so we had a lot of conversation, with his mom and dad. And I think just understanding the fit, I think is very important. If you're going to make that jump to anywhere, especially coming from the NAIA up to Division I, the fit's got to be there. And for him, once he got a chance to really come on campus and experience the people here, his teammates and the coaches, he realized that the fit was far beyond the court. and that it was going to be a great fit from a culture standpoint and an identity, a spiritual standpoint, and all those things being in line, helped him make the decision pretty quickly. I think he visited here, Thursday, Friday before or just after the Final Four, but before Easter, and he called and committed on Easter. So that was pretty good. Easter Sunday when we got the commitment from that guy, because we knew we were getting something really special when he decided to come on board. And so did our team. Our team was fired up. Like, they were recruiting him hard because he came here, and when he worked out and he hung out with the guys, our point guard, Andrew Thelwell, hosted him on his visit. And literally the first dinner that we took him to, like, they're talking and joking like two little schoolgirls that knew each other for 10 years, and they literally met in the parking lot. So we knew, man, this is a connection that could be really special here with a great player.
That is awesome. Former NFL quarterback Kelly Holcomb, part of the show as well. Kelly, what do you got for Coach?
Coach, how you doing, man? You stayed out a little bit too late, and you partied a little bit too hard. Then you got your immune system broke down.
Man, how about that? I will say there was very little sleep when we were down there in Evansville. I'm sure you guys saw, but the Thursday night game was a 9 p.m. tip. It didn't tip off until late, and then the Friday night game was a 9:30. Okay, and so we're on Eastern time zone here, guys. So my body, it was 10:30 and 11, and getting home late and all that kind of stuff back to the hotel, and then turn around and prepping again. So it's catching up to us a bit, but we stayed healthy just long enough to finish the job down there.
That's good. Well, congrats. Well, you've had a lot of success there, obviously, and me being a former middle guy, I played at Morehead State, so I think it's the first time in 39 years that y'all had y'all's first outright OVC title. Am I correct about that?
Last season, yes, sir. Yeah, last season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, so you've had a lot of success. So I want to know this: when you go into a home, what's your selling point? When you're talking to mom and dad, what's your selling point to Morehead State?
The people, the service, the connection that we're going to have. I think anytime we're sitting in a kid's living room, they're clearly a good player. They've got a lot of options, and if they're a Division I player, every place has great facilities. Every place has the amenities and all those things, and so do we. But we want to be different. We want their experience here with us to be different, and so that's something that we've been really proud of. That we're going to invest in them, not just as players, but as men. And we're not just going to coach them. We're going to do life with them and see them grow, and we're going to challenge them. And then, that's the same message that we've got with all of their teammates. And so that's what everybody's signing up for. And so, and I'm really proud of the fact we've been able to deliver on that. That's a part of our fabric and who we are, and we don't waver from it. And, you mentioned the success. I think it's a byproduct of that. It's not a magic sauce or special system or play or anything like that. We just kind of figure that stuff out once we get to, build the relationship and the trust with our players, and that's where it starts.
So I always get around to this, but this new age of coaching with all the stuff that's happening in college sports, you had a young man that's at Auburn now, the Broom kid. How I know you wish him well, and I know that that's a tough deal, but how hard is that as a coach with all the new rules of transfer and with all the new stuff that's coming out? How hard is that to be at a mid-major, and then you see one of your best players? I think he was OVC Player of the Year 2 years in a row, if I'm correct. So how hard is that to see a guy of his standard move on? And I know you're happy for him, but just how tough is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard at all, really. You know what I mean? I think I appreciate the fact you mentioned, what do you sit in that living room and talk about? You can't sit in that living room and talk about the things to them and to their parents that we just mentioned, and then, flip a switch and change all that when they wear a different color jersey. There's no bigger Janai Broom and Auburn fans than me and my family. We watch almost every game. Same thing with Talon Cooper at South Carolina and Georgia Tech with Tyjon Claude, guys that we've had here. And so that's just the way things are now in college basketball. And so, when it comes to replacing them, sure, that's a big challenge. But the foundation those guys laid here, the success that they helped us have, those things all help us, to attract other good players and to prove what we've done and what we can do with them with our track record. And so we support those guys. Like we're so happy for them all the time, and just seeing them get better, seeing them challenge themselves, because we know what they're made of. They're competitors, and when we were recruiting them as high school players, they were disappointed that they didn't get that level of recruitment. We were happy they didn't get it, right? Because we saw value in them that other people didn't. And we were thankful to the development that they've had. And so, man, we support those guys. It's just the way college basketball is now. But that doesn't supersede our mission and our relationships that we've had with them.
I got you. So my last deal is, what did you learn at Kentucky? I know you were there. I know you were under Coach Calipari. What did you learn? Because we always take things from when I played. I take things from all the coaches that I had. What did you take from him that you brought with you?
A lot of things, right? And I will say, running a program at this level is very different, okay, than running one at that level. But there are similarities, and I think what makes Cal elite and makes him one of the greatest coaches of all time. And I'm so thankful to have gotten my time with him as a mentor. He keeps it about the players. He does. And so I don't care if you're coaching in the OVC or in the SEC, or if you're in the NFL where you've been, it's got to be about the players. And I think if your heart is there, it's going to guide all your decisions, and it's going to make those tough decisions. It's going to make them easier, no matter what the changing landscape is in college basketball. And so that's been the big thing, and I think he's extremely innovative when it comes to finding new ways to motivate his team. And he's got an unbelievably funny personality. One of the things that I think is probably the thing that I enjoy the most, and I think he had the most enjoyment when I worked for him, were the film sessions with the players, because that's where you learn. That's where you get better. And as an educator, as he is, and all coaches are, that's your classroom. And that's an opportunity that it's very intimate with your team for your personality to come out. And so that's where your team really grows. And I always admired being in those film sessions with him and seeing the message that he chose to give the players after each and every game, the narrative that he would spin for our team. And so that's my favorite part of coaching throughout a season, is the opportunity to sit down and watch those 30-some games and figure out, what are we going to take from this, and how are we going to get better, and what's going to be my message to the team. And I think he does that better than anybody else.
By the way, you're a great interview. Really good stuff that you shared with us. So is that a rec room or your office?
Oh, so this is my home office here.
Oh,
so
you
I'm
got
working
some good
from home
stuff
today.
Back there. I love it.
I do. We're blessed. We've got these are the last two championship teams that we've had, and the pieces of the net. So we got to get a new one of those made. There's a banner up there from last year. We got some Kentucky things in here. This is you guys being in Tennessee, appreciate that. That's Turkey fan right there.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's always a great conversation piece when the recruits come in and you're bringing them from all over the country, and they say, "Man, what in the world is that thing?" I said, "I'm glad you asked. I'm quite the turkey hunter."
Love it.
So, but yeah, I got that in here too.
Hey, tell Scotty, thank you for helping set this up. I hope you have fun with this process, and if you do spring the upset, we'll be calling to get you on again.
Hey, we'll be happy to do it, and I'm gonna do my best to keep Scotty in line. But man, that dude, I got to give him a plug. He works his tail off, and his connections are all over the place, as you know. But I will tell you, nobody has more fun than us. We love coaching our team. We love coming to work each and every day and being with those guys, and that's our motivation, is just to keep it going. And so we talked about that going into the tournament, just one more day. But then when we got to Saturday, we said, hey, if we can stay locked in like we've been doing, we don't just get one more day. We get a couple more weeks together to do something special. And so that's the reward that we're enjoying right now, and we're going to keep that going.
That is very cool. Congrats, Preston.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
He should be a happy camper.
Let's go Eagles.
Yeah. Wow. Preston Spradlin, head coach at Morehead State University. After the break, we're going to Asheville, North Carolina. The final tonight is ETSU in Samford. It should have been UTC, but they gagged it late. Jack Gold will join us to explain how UTC didn't look like they'd ever seen a full court press. Stay with us.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Oh, yeah, it's tournament time. Tomorrow we'll have March Madness scoreboard updates, a lot of day games tomorrow. Tonight, 6 o'clock on ESPN2 is the SoCon Final. Samford, the regular season champion, gets ETSU. ETSU was down 20 last night to UT Chattanooga with about 14 minutes left. And it's on that note that we bring in Jack Gold to talk a little SoCal. Jack, how you doing?
I'm good. Still in shock from last night for sure. It was a unbelievable finish to that game.
So all credit to ETSU, but I thought UTC's coaching staff did a miserable job down the stretch. They looked, number one, like they'd never seen full court pressure, and their guards kept dribbling them into easy double team traps. And I kept saying, you know, for God's sakes, get the ball in the middle and get it into front court.
Yeah, man. So that's kind of both teams. So ETSU all season long has been maybe the most athletic team in the SoCon. They're super big, super long, can really guard. But at the same time on offense, they probably have the worst shot selection in the SoCon. They have much of the year, and that's what it looked like in the first half. They shot 6 for 35 or something in the first half. ETSU did. Chattanooga, on the other hand, has been a better defensive team, but their flaw kind of defensively is they have 2 5'9" guards. Now, they're the most electric offensive guards in the league, and they're so much fun to watch. But when you're 5'9" and you're getting pressed and trapped with that kind of length that ETSU has, it's hard. That's a weakness. And for some reason, like you said, they kept going into corners every time. I couldn't figure it out. Now, granted, I do think a guy that would have helped him, they have a freshman guard, would have been on the all-freshman team. The SoCon chose not to do it this year. Miles Shea, he's 6'2", point guard. He started early in the year before Trey Bonham, one of their best players, ended up getting declared eligible. He's second-time transfer. I think he would have helped because he's not 5'9" against that length. But there's no excuse for how many times they continually went into those traps. And credit to ETSU, but also it was unreal watching Chattanooga continue to do that all night.
I was yelling at the TV, get the ball in the middle. It's not good when I yell at the TV because it never yells back. But so now you've got ETSU after this overtime period, emotional draining deal. And Jack, it seems to me early tonight, their coaching staff is going to have to really do a job as far as how many minutes each starter plays and how to mix and match around a really good Samford team.
Yeah, ETSU's got to play a perfect game. There's no easy way to put it for them. I did pick them pre-tournament to beat UNCG, and that was almost more of a, hey, let's have some fun with this pick. I didn't even totally believe that. I never saw this coming. They played UNCG perfect. They played Chattanooga in the second half as good as they possibly could have. But man, if you think about what they did last night, they were super physical. They pressed. They just got a bunch of turnovers. The problem is Samford is the best team, definitely in mid-major basketball, at doing that. That's Samford's identity. So if ETSU wants to play that way, where they pressed and got back into the game with Chattanooga, which I don't think they will do, but either way, they're going to have to deal with Samford's press all night. And Samford's the best in the league at forcing turnovers, making quick shots, and speeding the other team up. And that's kind of ETSU's problem, is their guards are turnover prone, or at least all year. Now, the last 3 games, they've been a different team, looked like one of the best teams in SoCon. But all year, their guards have been turnover prone, some bad shot selection from some of them. And that's exactly what Samford, their game plan is every night, is to get the other team to do that.
Settle the bet for me with Billy. Samford, if they win tonight, obviously they go to the NCAA tournament. Are they an automatic NIT bid if they don't?
No, they're not. They changed it.
Where did I see that if you win your regular season title, you have an automatic bid to the NIT?
That was the old rule.
So,
yeah, they changed it this year.
Okay, I guess I'm totally mistaken. That's my bad.
We're
rules sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I
the way.
like that, and I guess I just reversed it. It's actually gone now.
Yeah, we're CBI fans around the mid-major world now. That's going to be the real tournament because NIT just wants money. They want 15-15 Oklahoma to make the tournament now because that's so much fun rather than seeing, we just had Preston Spradlin on. Morehead State's awesome, and he was a great interview. I interviewed him earlier this year. He's a great dude, and a lot of high majors are probably going to be after him at some point here soon. But think if Morehead State lost the OVC tournament, their season would effectively be over. It's unreal to see some of these teams that really could upset teams in the tournament that lose in the conference tournament, and then their season's going to be over now, or they're going to play in the CBI, which is not the greatest historically. So,
yeah, let me ask you. So, Indiana State, they're not getting into the tournament, correct? Because they lost.
I think they will.
Okay, so that's a team.
I think they're right on that, whatever that line is.
So they're right on it. Samford, I guess they're 80 in the net, and I think they're 78 in the net, 80 in the Ken Palm. I think I saw somewhere in the 70s in the net. Why isn't Samford considered to be a tournament team? Is it the conference? Is it because I think Samford's a team, even if they don't win tonight, is a team that, like you said, can make a run potentially, can upset not just one but 2 teams in the tournament.
Absolutely, and it's funny. It is a lot of the conference respect stuff. That's exactly what my podcast is, 2 Bid SoCon, because we think the league should get 2 bids most years. Not this year. They have the other guys kind of fell apart, but the league just beats itself up every single year. So Sanford loses. They lost to Mercer at the very end of the year. Mercer had a guy go for 30 that was once a South Carolina player, really talented guy. But that really ended their time. But if you think of, I thought Sanford had a legitimate early in the season. They were really great through non-conference play. Now, they didn't play the best schedule then. And then they were running through conference play, and then they lose to Furman. Well, Furman is probably horrible in the net. Furman was under 500 at that point in time, but a lot of it was because they'd been hurt all year. And when you're looking at mid-majors, they're not looking at that. The selection committee, they're thinking this team just lost to a team that was below 500. So it's Sanford is like I said, Sanford's better than like every Power 5 bubble team, in my opinion. But they took a couple bad losses, and teams won't play it. Teams won't play a Sanford in the non-conference. So those teams can't get their net up high enough. Net's a flawed system. I don't know what the solution is, but the problem that mid-majors can never, like Indiana State, no way they should miss the tournament. But teams aren't going to play those guys in the non-conference. Why would a Kentucky go play one of the best mid-majors in America? There's no advantage for that team. It's just helping the other team out. So it's
Jack, 25, 30 years ago, what the NIT used to do was take the little guy, give him the home games, and it pissed off the big boys so much they finally put up a big old stink. For instance, Middle one year, I want to say it was 89. Don't hold me to this. But in 89, Middle hosted Tennessee, Georgia, and Boston College, which were three great gates at Murphy Center, where the other way around it wouldn't have been. But the big teams raised such a fuss about it that the NIT basically got forced to stop it.
Yeah, it's they went the wrong direction, in my opinion. The NIT with kind of catering to the big teams. It's upsetting because if you think last year, there's very rarely a Vanderbilt like Vanderbilt was last year where they really wanted to be in the NIT. Like, not that they wanted to be in the tournament too, but they wanted to be there, wanted to win. Because they played Michigan. Michigan looked like they could care less to be in that tournament. There's teams like that every year. Whereas if Sanford lost tonight and you let them in the NIT, they're going to be playing like they're playing for a national championship, and that whole fan base is going to be behind them. Whereas a Michigan fan base isn't going to show out to that game because they expect the NCAA tournament and to be national contenders. It's upsetting that that's the direction they went, was to have a bunch of average Power 5 teams that aren't even going to be motivated in that tournament.
Yeah, I'm with you. And watching tonight, I'll be watching Sanford ETSU. It's on ESPN2. Every year in a lot of these mid-major conferences, whether it's a SoCon, Missouri Valley, whatever, there's guys that bump up and move to the SEC. We're like, who's this guy? Well, guys like you already know him, whether it's a Janai Broom type or Riley Minix, even though those guys aren't in the SoCon. There's guys like that in the SoCon. Who are the guys tonight to watch? And even other SoCon teams that you think could be on an SEC roster or an ACC Big Ten roster that we should maybe keep an eye on?
Yeah, so tonight specifically, especially if Sanford wins tonight, I think Bucky McMillan gets a job somewhere. Now, he's not going to take a bad job, but I think a good job is going to go after him. And in that case, I think they will lose some players. And Achor is a guy that may get a chance at a higher level. He was first team all SoCon, averaged 15 or so points. And Sanford's so good in that they have so many good players. Any night, one guy's their best guy. Achor is consistently he's been the most consistent guy and has been the best guy more often than not than anyone else. Jermaine Marshall, I believe he's in his last year. If he's not, he definitely could be a guy up there. I don't know that ETSU has anybody. I think they're pretty set, their roster, and they're going to return most of their guys next year. Maybe Jaden Seymour, but he's already been to BCU and didn't pan out there. Or no, Wichita State didn't pan out there. Tore his ACL at ETSU, and he's been through it at ETSU. He's an ETSU guy, so I couldn't see him going anywhere. For the SoCon in general, I think the Furman game last night, if you saw Furman Sanford, which was kind of a snooze fest, it wasn't the best game. Furman, I think there may be a lot of roster change there next year, and especially I think Nashville native. I think JP McGee, somebody is going to throw a bag at him. Now, he may stay at Furman. Furman's got a history of keeping those type of guys with Jalen Slauson and Mike Bothwell last year. Slauson ended up getting drafted, but those guys both could have gone Power 5. I think Pegues is going to be sought after. Marcus Foster, their second best player, he averaged about 17. He's going to be sought after. And then a team that ETSU beat in UNCG, UNCG is losing everybody except for their best player, Mikal Brown-Jones. He played at VCU. Then he came to UNCG. I think he is a guy that could very easily have a season kind of like BJ Mack has had for Sanford. He makes a lot of sense. He's a versatile 4 or 5 man, can shoot it, can defend, super athletic. I think he's going to end up somewhere high major and have a big impact.
Jack, appreciate it. Good stuff over there in Asheville, North Carolina. Enjoy the game tonight. Safe travels back afterwards.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Jack Gold reporting from the SoCon final tonight. Samford and ETSU, ESPN2, 6 o'clock.
Be there.
Aloha. So are we now prepared for you-know-what?
I think we are.
Yes.
Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. Let's do a little bit of review. Over the weekend, got about a 3-1 record. Because four plays total. Memphis, what'd they lose by 8 instead of 6? I mean, that could have gone.
Although, in truth, in the second half, most of it was 8 to 12.
Yeah.
They never quite got to the 6.5.
FAU was on fire.
I do wonder if Creighton, the second team, is one that they shoot. And eventually in the tournament, you got to score. As physical as you may be, Kelly, you got to put the ball in the hole.
I started out watching that Iowa game, and I don't even know how the game ended up. But like I told my daughter, I'm like, they're shooters, but that wasn't working at the beginning of the game. Good gracious, they couldn't hit it. And I'm like, in the tournament, if you are a shooting team and you go cold, you lose.
You're going to die by it.
Yep.
So we got to 3-1. Good Lord, the tying run is in Alaska. Wow. It's a ways away.
You got a lot of conference tournament games this week.
Yeah, I'm going to need to have 7 bets a day. Okay, so a slim menu tonight. I'm going with Gonzaga. They got my attention when they blew out St. Mary's on the road. Beat the dog-do out of them. I sort of was like, Gonzaga's back.
Yeah.
You win at Rupp, that gets everybody's attention. You rip into St. Mary's. It wasn't that they won. It was they just won going away. So I'm taking them tonight, minus the 8 against San Francisco. San Fran's had a pretty good year. Vandy was one of their victims early in the year. 8-point spread. Kelly, we'll see.
I'm with you, George. Go with it.
I'm going with it.
Hey, I like what y'all said too when Jack was talking about, and I don't know, I didn't hear all the deal, but I remember when Kermit was here, one of our better coaches in basketball. He had a really good year. I mean, I think they won high 20s in that year as well, and they won the conference they didn't win the conference tournament, they won the conference championship. Then they go to the tournament and they get beat. The tournament is it's a crapshoot sometimes, and you just don't play well. And that's what happened to Tennessee the other night. And I think that's really what drove Kermit out to go take that job at Ole Miss, because he was tired of having these really good teams. But if you mess up in the conference tournament, you don't get the automatic bid. I've always said they needed to do something with that. The regular season has to mean something.
Well,
that's just what I think.
They're not. They're never going to.
I know.
Because these conference tournaments are what make the money.
Yeah, I get it, but it's stupid.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
It was, by the way, it was 88 that Middle made that NIT run. In 89, they beat Florida State on a Thursday night, lost to Virginia. These are both NCAA tournament games at Memorial Gym. Kelly, I was there.
What year did you say, George?
1989.
Oh, 1989.
It was, the same sort of format where you'd have 4 games in one day. And I'm trying to think. Oklahoma was one of the best teams in the country. And I don't know if they got beat or lost by 1 in the afternoon nightcap. And then about 9:30, it was really late when they got started. Middle ripped into Florida State, and it was really cool to see.
Kelly was getting chewed out by boots back then.
Close. Now, you know what I thought about when you said 1989? Poor old Billy. He wasn't even a twinkle in his mama and daddy's eyes at that point.
No.
You got that right.
We'll leave any further comment to ourselves. Kelly, see you tomorrow.
Comments.
No,
you don't want me to put it out there, George.
There's little wheels spinning right now. Billy, behave.
Correct.
I'll try.
See all of you tomorrow. So long.